Hey friends, good evening and welcome to Hickory Ridge Concerts Virtual. I'm your host, Chris Valillo, and we have a very special show for you tonight. For as long as we have been doing this show virtually, I've wanted to do live music with other players, and tonight my friends Calle Sur are here, and we're going to be doing that right in the studio together. Now, for those of you joining us, we do this as a live stream show on the third Saturday of the month. Currently all year long, and we will see how long this continues, but always glad to have you here with us. We don't charge for the show, but we do graciously accept donations, and there will be a link available a number of times through the show. Please give what you can and join us whether you can or can't. Now, I always get to start the show, and tonight I want to do a very special song for a dear friend of mine who left us just a day or so ago. My friend Jeff Holtz. He was the music director of WIUM Public Radio here in Macomb, and he was one of the two people that I worked together with to produce the Rural Route 3 radio show. Introduced me to my wife and had just such a wonderful, powerful impact on my life. So he understood this song better than almost anybody I know. It's written about a late night radio show I listened to, and Jeff spent enough time behind that microphone in the wee hours of the morning to understand this one. So for Jeff, the best of all possible worlds. Tuning in the radio, middle of the night. I'm just driving down this back road highway, not another car in sight. Coming out of nowhere, through the static there's the sound of a three-piece band with red-hot music coming down. Old jazz music floating on the air like a breeze, soaring notes shaking the leaves of the trees, with a burning feeling stronger than bright sunlight, in the best of all possible worlds tonight, in the best of all possible worlds. Names I'd never heard before, sounds as sweet as sin, grabbing hold of me and taking me places that I'd never been. Musical sensations pouring down like gentle rain, then crashing like thunder and crying in pain. Dizzy Gillespie, John Coltrane, Duke Ellington, Billie Holiday, Bessie Smith, and Oscar Peterson. They don't play in the darkness, fading out with the light, in the best of all possible worlds tonight, in the best of all possible worlds. There's static on the radio where that music used to be. Those nights out on the highway go just a little slower for me. Yeah, but sometimes in the early hours between the darkness and daylight, I swear they're still playing somewhere just out of sight. Old jazz music floating on the air like a breeze, soaring notes shaking the leaves of the trees, with a burning feeling stronger than bright sunlight, in the best of all possible worlds tonight, in the best of all possible worlds, in the best of all possible worlds tonight, in the best of all possible worlds. All right, there you go. Godspeed, my friend. Thanks for all the good music brought to all of us for so long. All right, speaking of good music, it is my distinct pleasure to share the stage live in our studio tonight with two of the finest musicians I've ever had the opportunity to see and tonight perform with. Calle Sur. Did I get it close?
Yes.
All right. We've been working on that. All right, I'm going to move the stage here and let them say hi.
Hola, soy Karin de Calle Sur.
Yo soy Edgar.
But don't panic, there'll be a lot of...
I didn't mention that part, did I?
We'll sing in Spanish, but we will talk in English.
So what you need to know is that this duo sings the music of South America. Karin Stein was from Colombia. Ed East is from Panama. Now, Ed is an urban Panamanian. Karin was a rural Colombian. And the combination of sounds and music they bring together is simply extraordinary.
Thank you, Chris.
Now, I know that you guys have been staying busy through all this, the nonsense of COVID that we've had to deal with. You got a new recording that is it out yet or coming out?
No, it's out. It's
Tell us
definitely
about
out.
that.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to talk to you directly, Chris, because I know that you're interested.
Oh, yeah.
You were just talking about jazz music on your song,
Yeah.
you know, and talking about the best of all possible worlds. And this recording that we have is the best of at least two different worlds. The
I
world
love that.
World of jazz and the world of Latin American folk music, if you will.
Yeah.
So we've been able to marry together these two trends by bringing in, aside from ourselves, a piano player, a pianist, a jazz pianist, and also we have a bass player, jazz bass players, and they've been a part of the fabric of this new sound that we've been able to craft. Using some traditional music from Colombia, from Venezuela, from different parts of Latin America.
Several
using-
original pieces as well.
Sure.
as well, using traditional instruments that are unusual, and I think people would love to see how it all works together. But that's what we've put together. It's called Cancun,
Oh, sure.
like the place
Like the
in
place.
Mexico, and there is a special connection with that place.
Oh, wonderful.
So the new album we just released this year, earlier, to celebrate the 20 years that Calle Sur has been in
Wow.
existence. It's really 21, but who's counting the last year, right?
That's
We
right.
just
Yeah.
kind of, so the new album is what you'll hear today with jazz piano, and it's not just one piano player. We added jazz piano, but we invited 4 different piano players, and that they each gave their own touch. So you'll just have to go to callesur.com to sample this album and hopefully download it. All right.
And you
let's-
have to understand how to spell Calle Sur. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, I think
We've
it's
actually
right there.
got-
It's on
posted
there.
on the screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
And let me just say, this is what I just love about music, is the ability to combine different aspects and find a new whole. And my friend Jeff would have just been delighted with this.
Yeah.
All right.
So here's to Jeff.
Hey, we have applause. This is so exciting to be doing a live stream and have applause in it.
Well, oh yes, right. I get to try your instrument. So tonight is very special because we get to make music with Chris, but we also get to share instruments. So he's lending me what he calls his tipple. In Colombia, we have a very similar instrument. It's a little bigger, and it's called tiple. So same instrument. So I'm playing this for the first time in the next tune. We opened with Dos Palomitas, Two Little Doves, a traditional Bolivian tune from the Andes Mountains, which I sang in Spanish and Quechua. We speak over 400 languages in Latin America. Spanish and Portuguese, of course, are the ones everybody knows about. In other colonies, there would be French, Dutch, English. But what people forget about is the hundreds of indigenous languages that are still used. And even though I don't speak a single one of them, I try to pay homage to that in this by singing the one segment in Quechua. And Ed was playing the quena, That's a notched flute from the Andes Mountains. And if you heard a whole rhythm section, that's because there are lots of things going on here at foot level, and you can see some of it, but in any case, Ed has pedals, and he had the goat hoof rattles that go with this, and the big bombo drum on the ground is a traditional Bolivian Andean instrument. But now we're going to switch to the European flute. With this, another Andean piece from the northern Andes, from my home country, Colombia. Now let me just remember how to play these chords.
I understand.
It's a brand new toy for her, so.
And you are doing the premiere performance on this instrument.
Oh, am I?
It's never been played in any performance before.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Wow, what an honor. I think I have it.
Okay, here we go. This is called Torbellino Tolimense.
Abajo corre el agua, de para arriba no ha podido. La mujer que se casara, que viva con su marido. La mujer que se casara, que viva con su marido. Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana. El que sale de su tierra, sale en busca de trabajo. Si no paga con la vida, vuelven los meros andrapos. Si no paga con la vida, vuelven los meros andrapos. Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana. De tan alto la manzana, qué dolor si te murieras, muchachita guatecana, qué dolor si te murieras, muchachita guatecana, Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana. El que sepa Torbellino, que no lo vaya a olvidar, por eso al subir al cielo, ya tiene algo que enseñar. Por eso al subir al cielo, ya tiene algo que enseñar. Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana. Carin va a caballo, cantando coplas al viento, hasta el río se detiene para oírla muy atento, hasta el río se detiene para oírla muy atento. Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana, Orelita y Orelana.
Ho! You were just showing off with the flute there on the.
I forgot the trill. It just kept going and going and going.
Chris, I think I'm going to keep this, okay?
Okay, I know where you live though, remember.
Chris, I don't know if you're in the picture fully. I don't know if we need to, if you can scoot in a little.
I can
or...
scoot in a little bit. Now,
Yeah.
I think on this next one, we're going to do, you have to pronounce that for me.
Oh, right. We
I'm
get
gonna-
to play our first song
I'm going to
together.
join you for this one, so I'll actually stand up for the slide.
Okay, all right. It's called Campanitas de Cristal, a very sweet bolero, which is a soft rhythm that's often associated with love songs. But this isn't necessarily a love song. You know, should I just scoot the camera? I mean, this is an informal audience. Should I just move it
You
in a
keep
little?
talking.
Okay.
I'll scoot the camera.
All right. So, Campanitas de Cristal means crystal bells. And it just, how would you summarize the essence of this piece? It's just,
Well, it's a very, very sweet song. It's almost like a lullaby. And I don't know if I can summarize it, but I can say that when the cold winds of winter come blowing by, I can hear the magical sound of silver bells, of crystal bells. And they soothe me, and they make me feel good. They make me feel like angels are playing music around me. It's something along those lines.
and the previous song, you know, we're not going to translate everything. The previous song was really a collection of assorted, probably lyrics that started in a very spontaneous way. So the last verse we composed, and it makes a reference to my childhood, which I spent in the eastern savannas of Colombia on a farm, and I spent half of my childhood riding a horse. So, no, that's not what it's about. It's about me singing, right? So it says, when Karin sings,
Even the river stops to listen.
I don't know why I was thinking about that. I think it's because we have another song that refers to my
It's
childhood
because you're
riding.
a cowgirl and you're always talking about being a cowgirl.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll have a song that actually relates to my riding horses later. I got confused about the order here.
So we're going to welcome Chris, and he's gonna play along with this beautiful song about the crystal bells.
What's
All right.
so cool is the slide guitar in a Latin American piece. I just love it.
I'm thrilled, believe me.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Cuando la brisa de invierno se cuela por mi ventanita, oigo sonar, como si un ángel con manos de seda en mi ventanita tocara un madrigal, Cuando la brisa de invierno se cuela por mi ventanita, oigo sonar, como si un ángel con manos de seda en mi ventanita tocara un madrigal, Tilín, tilín, tilín. Oye, qué bonito es el tilín de mis campanitas de cristal. cristal. Tiling,
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 tilang,
tilang.
campanas que tañen para mí tan dulce canción. Reír, reír, reír. Lindas campanitas de cristal me alegran mis horas de dolor. Sonar, sonar, sonar. Solo para mí, campanitas de cristal, campanitas de cristal, campanitas de cristal.
All right. We did it.
I love that
Oh, that's
sound.
fun. That's
on
so
this
fun.
song.
It's this unusual. I mean, I really have to think differently about it. But then, earlier we did rehearse this, and Ed was saying, "Don't think too hard. Just let it come." And it's such a joy when it does.
Oh, it's so great. And Chris, I'm so grateful that we can be here together because
Oh.
it's not a given,
Oh no.
And I personally appreciate the safety. I know you're vaccinated, we're
Yeah.
vaccinated. We have taken care of one another.
Yeah.
And we take care of ourselves. I mean, I don't leave the house without a mask.
Yeah.
Because from the selfish standpoint, I'm a singer, so even if I get a very light COVID case, it goes right here. And
Yeah.
why would I not be able to sing?
Mm-hmm.
But Ed and so many other people, Ed has little children that
Yeah.
can't get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I have friends with underlying conditions so I just want to say a personal thank you that we
Oh, my
can
pleasure.
share this space. If I ever appreciated making music with colleagues that I admire, today is a day when I appreciate it in a boundless manner. So
Well,
thank
that
you.
is very generous of you to say. And let me just say, it's such a joy to make music with people again. It's a rare treat, and this is a great night.
Yeah, it really is. So let's go back to the Andes. And
Yes.
you're playing a mandolin, which, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but the mandolin is one European instrument that is very commonly used in the Andes Mountains.
Really?
Did you not?
No, I did
Because
not.
I don't think I meant,
Yeah.
so it fits. It fits what we're going
The
to
tones
do.
do, and the timbres of the sounds do. Well,
So I'm holding, but you're going to say something.
no, I was just going to agree with you. Go ahead.
I'm holding a set of panpipes, South American panpipes. This particular type is called antara, and it's tuned in, there are 5 tones to an octave here. Sorry,
It's a pentatonic scale.
pentatonic scale. So, Amazing Grace, I think it's a pentatonic
Yep,
song?
yep.
Okay, so you can make amazing music with just 5 notes to an octave. But let me quickly give you a tour. Panpipes in the Andes Mountains come in all kinds of sizes. This is the adult size, like middle age. This is ours, right? Okay.
Yes.
So this is the youth size. This is our children,
Yeah.
right? This is the lowest note on this one. So it's a little higher in range. And then the little children are symbolized by the chulis. And then I didn't bring the gigantic grandparent pipes, the toyos,
Yeah.
which are, if I stand up, they go up to here.
Yeah, you'd be hitting the ceiling.
Yeah, and the names I'm using are just one of the types of names, because as I mentioned, there are hundreds of native languages spoken. That includes
Sure.
the Andes, and so if you're from the next valley and speak a slightly different language, you will probably have different names. But the important thing is that how we're playing this is completely wrong. These are community instruments. This type of music is played in large communal settings
Okay.
by dozens, sometimes hundreds of people who come together and play these different pipes in all the different ranges at once. It symbolizes community.
Oh, wow. I bet that sounds incredible.
Oh, it's unbelievable. But today we'll just do the extracted, westernized
Okay.
spin-off Peruvian tune called Marcha Cuchimay.
Oh, that was fun. And I remembered my parts.
You did great.
We literally arranged these together this afternoon.
Yes, we've never performed together, although we've known each other and admired each other's music for a long time.
Now, I have to jump in with a quick announcement that the pie of the night is a key lime pie. And this was the closest we could find to a South American dessert. I know it's nowhere near South America, but my wife bakes great pies, so Ed and I are going to have a really good
dessert.
slice of pie here. Sadly, I know you're
I have to eat gluten-free.
gluten-free. Yeah.
But I've got my little gluten-free wafers with me, so I'll still have
Okay.
something.
Well, I only say this because I've got to run down and cut the pie because we were rehearsing. So I'm going to turn the stage over to Calle Sur, and I'll be right back.
Don't forget
right.
forks, okay?
Oh, forks,
We'll need
yeah.
forks.
Good.
I don't need one. I've got finger food.
I would have forgotten if you hadn't said that.
So the next two pieces, the first one is an original piece, and the second one is a traditional piece. And the music, the style of music, has its origin in the eastern savannas of Colombia, which are also the central savannas of Venezuela. And this region is called Llanos, the Llanos. Llanos means plains. And think of the prairies, but in South America. This region has a very distinct kind of music, and I grew up with this music. I was born and raised in Colombia. My dad was a farmer, and our farm was in this region. In 1974, things were difficult in my home country, Colombia. And long story short, my dad decided that we needed to leave the country, and a month later we were gone. And I was 12. And a 12-year-old child doesn't necessarily understand what goes on at the national level. And so this song reflects the sadness of having left behind that land. I mean, I've returned many times since, and things are a lot better. In fact, I take groups of travelers there. Once the pandemic's over, I'll do that again. But for many, many years, I wasn't able to return to my home area in Colombia. And this is what the song is about. And I sing it with so many people in mind who are having to leave their homeland in a hurry. As we speak now, all over the world, of course, we're thinking about Afghanistan, but it's happening every day around the world that people get uprooted. So this song is for them. And then we're going to counteract that with a very happy tune from the exact same region, where you'll get to see some of the maraca techniques that we use in that region. So this first song is called Reasons, And it's the reasons why it hurts to think about that, and how the red ibis, a bird, still haunts my memories of those rice fields where I grew up.
Porque tengo el alma en llanto, prisionera de un encanto. Porque la atarraya es grande y la fuerza que lo expande no solo peces se lleva. Hay peces que caen al agua, pero el alma que se enreda en la atarraya la envuelve, le da vuelta la tortura. Porque vivo en tierra ajena y mi alma no está serena. Porque corocoras vuelan salpicando su color, pero no solo en el cielo. Sus rojos en mi memoria pintan años que se fueron, fantasmas llanos ausentes y que aún de mí se adueñan. Porque dicen que en mi tierra no se vive por la guerra. Porque cuando lluvias caen, no solo el caimán se alegra, no solo Caños se llena. Tormentas hay de las buenas y también de las que dejan un país a grieta abierta y las almas descubiertas. Porque vivo en tierra ajena, mi alma no está serena. Porque dicen que en mi tierra no se vive por la guerra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm playing an instrument called Cuatro, named after the number of strings it has, and it's the quintessential cowboy instrument of the savannas, of the llanos of Colombia and Venezuela, and this is how it's tuned. Oh, and earlier we played the charango. I think I mentioned the quena flute, but not the charango. And as I mentioned, cowboy technique of maraca playing. By the way, if you are enjoying what you're hearing, you can help musicians who have been underemployed for a year and a half by subscribing to their YouTube channel, for example. And I really would love for you to do that. Our YouTube channel is, if you go to youtube.com, you look for Artes Latinas 1. And I think our wonderful tech assistant, Brandon, is going to put that into the chat. Artes Latinas 1, all one word, ARTESLATINAS 1 is the name of our channel. And just click on the link that Brandon is putting in. And please join our channel And we post regularly music. And in fact, we're going to post in a while some songs that we just recorded earlier with you.
Yeah.
So you'll be
Quick
able to-
question. The number one or written out O-N-E?
Oh, very good question.
Yeah.
The number one.
Yeah.
Artes Latinas number one.
And understand, this is an easy way. No money comes out of your pocket.
And you don't get
And
spam.
And you can help so many musicians. All you have to do, seriously, just click subscribe. It helps.
It does. All right. Cowboy song?
Cowboy
Okay.
song. Absolutely.
Si el gavilán se comiera, ay, se comiera como se come al ganado.
Si el gavilán se comiera, ay, se comiera como se come al ganado. Ya yo me hubiera comido el gavilán, colorado gavilán, pío, 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 gavilán, tau, 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 gavilán, pío, 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 gavilán, tau, tau, tau.
Canoero del río Arauca, ay, río Arauca, pásame pa'l otro lado.
Canoero del río Arauca, ay, río Arauca, pásame pa'l otro lado, que me viene persiguiendo el gavilán, colorado gavilán, pío, 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 gavilán, tau, 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 gavilán, pío, 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 gavilán, tau, tau, tau.
All right, show us how it's done.
Esta es la negra Karin. Óigame bien del llano y del otro lado. Por acá.
Esta es la negra Karin, óigame bien del llano y del otro lado, que se trajo este muchacho y el joropo ya empezó gavilán, pío, 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 gavilán, tau, 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 gavilán, pío, 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 gavilán, tau, 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 pío, 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 tau, 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 pío, 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 tau, 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 pío, pío, tau, tau, pío, pío, tau, tau, pío, tau, pío, tau.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't start doing those callbacks. I'd have been out there at the end by myself. Wow. Do your arms hurt?
No.
That's just. I mean, it sounded like a rattlesnake, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, but the level of speed that and precision you're doing it with, it just boggles my mind. It's
Thank you.
simply amazing to watch close up.
Well, I'm very fortunate to have been taught how to do these things by people who live this life, who did this for years and years and years. And some of these musicians, if not most of them, specialize in one instrument.
Yeah.
Could be the maracas, and that's what they specialize in.
Well, and you can see that specialization. I've seen people play maracas for years, but I've never seen that level of dexterity with it. I mean, it really was a musical performance in and of itself.
Well, thank
You know, you made the comment that it sounded like rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
The master maraca player from whom Ed learned, Diego Luis Mosquera, who is a member of one of our other ensembles. We have lots of different ensembles. We have 8 Latin ensembles. This is the smallest. So his nickname is Rattlesnake, Cascabel,
Because of that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Chris, let's move right on to the next piece we play together.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
El Reloj. So we stay right on target with our time here.
And now I get to play the tipple for the second time it's ever been performed on.
Yes, exactly. So this is another bolero, one of those heartfelt love songs, and this one speaks about the clock ticking, el reloj, and she's going to leave him tomorrow, and he just wants to stop the clock.
se irá para siempre. Cuando amanezca otra vez, no más nos queda esta noche para vivir nuestro amor. Y tu tic-tac me recuerda mi irremediable dolor. Reloj, detén tu camino, porque mi vida se apaga. Ella es la estrella que alumbra mi ser. Yo sin su amor no soy nada. Detén el tiempo en tus manos. Haz esta noche perpetua para que nunca se vaya de mí, para que nunca amanezca. No marques las horas, porque voy a enloquecer. Ella será para siempre. Cuando amanezca otra vez, no más nos queda esta noche para vivir nuestro amor. Me recuerda mi irremediable dolor. Reloj, detén tu camino, porque mi vida se apaga. Ella es la estrella que alumbra mi ser. Yo sin su amor no soy nada. Detén el tiempo en tus manos. Haz esta noche perpetua para que nunca se vaya de mí, para que nunca amanezca, para que nunca amanezca, para que nunca amanezca, para que nunca amanezca.
Nice. I think we'll take you on the road again.
Sounds like fun.
You take us and we take you on the road.
Hey, I love it. I'm so tired of traveling as a one person. Conversation in the car. What a concept.
Not with yourself, right?
You know, it's not much better here. Ed and I might spend hours on end in the car together at times.
Yeah.
He lives about an hour and a half away from my house. And so you'd think that when we're in the car, we have lots to talk about. But usually what happens is I start driving, and 5 minutes later I look over and he's... So it's pretty much solo conversation
Yeah.
there too.
So you understand where I'm coming from.
Is it okay if we finish up before we chat with the song from my country?
Absolutely.
And is it okay if we invite you to step in, even if we just taught you the song an hour and a half ago?
That's quite all right.
All right.
That's the real pleasure of doing this. This just jumping in and I was reading a book today about Jeff Tweedy wrote about writing songs, and he says something to the effect of he pulls out a line. I could tell you about a river, or we could just jump in.
Hey,
So we're just
I love
jumping
it.
in.
I love
Yeah,
that line.
yeah.
That's really cool. And you know what? This song is about water.
Oh, perfect.
There you go. It's about the happy fisherman. All he owns is a fishing net, but he's a content man. There's a lesson for all of us.
Matter of fact.
We're Calle Sur, that means South Street, because the road that Ed and I took to come to the United States came from the South. I'm from Colombia. I'm a Colombian citizen. Spanish is my native language. Ed is from Panama. He's a Panamanian citizen, and his native language is Spanish. Together we are Calle Sur, and our Webpage is callesur.com. As you see it announced here in the, there's, I think Brandon has all the information
got
right
all
there.
of it.
Okay.
He's on top
One
of it.
word, callesur.com. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us so much. Artes Latinas #1. Artes Latinas 1. One word. Okay, so the fisherman.
Va subiendo la corriente con chinchorro y atarraya, la canoa de baré que para llegar a la playa. Va subiendo la corriente con chinchorro y atarraya, la canoa de baré que para llegar a la playa. La luna espera sonriente su mágico esplendor, la llegada del valiente y el alegre pescador. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya.
All right, this is your chance to clap along and sing along wherever you are.
Regresan los pescadores con su carga pa' vender al puerto de sus amores, donde tienen su querer. Esta cumbia que se llama el alegre pescador la compuse una mañana de sol. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su ¡ay! Regresan los pescadores con su carga pa' vender al puerto de sus amores, donde tienen su querer. Esta cumbia que se llama el alegre pescador la compuse una mañana de sol. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya. El pescador habla con la luna, el pescador habla con la playa, el pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya, solo su atarraya, solo su atarraya, solo su atarraya.
Oh, that was so much fun. Well, now I know what El Pescador means.
There you go. And you don't know what Luna means, and you know
Well, I
what
knew
Calle
Luna.
Sur means. so
Calle
you know.
Sur I know now, yes. And that's actually the first time I figured that one out. Some of these I was kind of, hearing some of the words and knowing some of them. But I did not understand Calle Sur was South Street.
That's it.
You got it.
Well, first of all, what a wonderful set of music. We've had a great time singing and playing. We've got more coming. Now, since we have this rather unusual setup, I'm not in a position where I can read questions off of the computer. Our digital tech, Brandon, if there's something I need to hear, is going to jump in and share with us. So actually, we're just going to have a conversation. But first, pie.
Okay, I'll go for my gluten-free plate. Also, if you have questions or comments, type them in. We can always come to
Thank you.
Facebook and respond to you later.
This is what we're eating tonight. Beautiful key lime pie.
Okay,
Fork?
share hazelnut and grapes. You know, half of my luggage when we travel is gluten-free food.
So this is an homage to the original live series that we do, where we would take a break and everyone would have pie and dessert
Okay,
and visit
good.
with one another. So we've taken to doing this as part of the show. So let's just kind of talk a little bit about Calle Sur and where you come from and the music. For instance, now Ed, you mentioned you learned from an actual master of
The maracas.
the maracas. I love that idea. I mean, learning from the generations before. Can you kind of tell us a little more about this man?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let's just talk about music in general.
Yeah.
Music is something that was innate. It was something that people just made naturally, right? But the thing about it is that there's also an innate need to teach and to pass on traditions. And once you've developed something that has become endeared in
Yeah.
people's hearts and their minds, they want to keep that. It's a treasure. So the passing on of music started off, of course, as anything else, word of mouth, so
Yeah.
to speak, listening with a teacher or by listening to others doing it. And then eventually it became institutionalized and standardized so that there would be some kind of a way for all of us to communicate this wonderful language of music.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody reads music, and it's okay because music belongs to all of us, right? So as I start learning a little bit more of the environment outside of my environment, which is an urban environment. So I was riding buses since I was a year old. She was riding
I was
horses.
riding horses. We never got around to the horse song, but that's okay.
So I was riding buses, cabs. Panama City is a busy place. I
He
just
had
wanna let you know.
TV. I had no electricity. I was homeschooled to candlelight at
Yeah,
night.
poor thing. Can you see her going like this all day? Poor thing. So anyway, so I grew up with a lot of the nice things about being in an urban environment. And of course I had educators that helped me with music in its very beginnings. And but I was not exposed fully, and I wasn't necessarily appreciative of all of the nuances involved in music from other places and from the outlying parts of my own country, the countryside.
Sure.
I was aware of it, I knew of it, but it wasn't something that was interesting to me until I came here to the U.S. and met Karin, and she brought that element to my attention, and we started talking and adding music from that part of the world, that part of me that was not completely aware. I wasn't completely aware of that.
Sure.
And one time she played a recording. She said, "Listen, they're playing maracas in this," and I listened to it, and I said, "No, I'm sorry, that's not. Those are not maracas. Maracas don't do that. I mean, that's got to be a different instrument. Those are maracas." And
I have just experienced that very thing.
so it's slightly humbling and humiliating, when you get to the point where you see somebody playing the maracas and you go, "Oh, those are maracas." But I have never seen anybody play them like that.
Yeah.
Right? So fortunately, she knew people who knew people who knew people, and
Yeah.
people know each other. And we went to Chicago and we met with Diego Mosquera, is his name. He's a Colombian musician who is a maraca master. Won several competitions. Yes, there are competitions for maraca playing, and I was able to sit down face to face with him, and he showed me what he did and how he did it, and he helped me kind of get started with the whole thing. I thought it would be a piece of cake. It was not.
There's your piece of cake right there.
Yeah. Pie. This is pie.
Okay,
There's
pie.
pie and there's cake. She's from Colombia. Excuse me. So anyway, here I am, learning from this master, and finding out more about this, and understanding that I have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
And but I am able to at least open people's eyes to this art form that otherwise you never hear or know about it.
Yeah.
So because it's very, very culturally embedded in the Colombian llanos, the prairies of Colombia, and it doesn't necessarily make it outside of Colombia as readily as some other styles of music that are more popular.
Yeah, it looks like it's more the original pure art form. So much of the music gets retranslated and sort of watered down to become well-known and more commercialized. But that's such powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Was it sort of an apprenticeship type of thing? You worked with him a
No,
lot? Or he
kind of a one-shot deal.
Oh, really? Wow.
Well, and as I mentioned in passing, this master maraca player is part of one of our other
Yes.
groups, Los Llaneros. You know how to spell that? Anyhow, if you go to artes-latinas.com, now I'm spelling too many things. Never mind.
Yeah.
We have another group. He's in that group, and because we played music together, Ed was able to pick up more and more. But that's just one element of what goes into these different regional forms, and it speaks to the diversity of each and every Latin American country. I mean, within each country, there's an incredible diversity. And when I see you play the slide guitar, or when you see you pick the mandolin, or you do fingerstyle, that's a whole universe to me that I've never been exposed, that I learned about here.
Well, and much like as I was, listening to some of these songs, trying to figure out how to play into them, I'm thinking, who plays this stuff this fast? These rhythms are insane. And it's a different language. And after spending a couple of days working with it, I began to hear that language.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, how we expand our musical vocabularies.
And that is the experience that the pianists who collaborated on our new album, Cancun, had. Mm-hmm. Our purpose was to give them our original pieces or folk music and some popular pieces, just pretty much like what we played here today. We gave these pieces to them and said, okay, you're trained in jazz piano, take this tune and do something with it. Because we wanted to hear how they heard it.
Yeah.
And what they did with it. And the result has been phenomenal. And we're very, very pleased with that experiment. So I'm just totally thrilled that we get to do that in a way.
We just had a mini experience of that.
Uh-huh.
And the idea of having someone else reinterpret your song back to you really makes it a whole new sensation to you. You can, you see things completely differently. It opens up a whole new range of possibilities.
That's right. That's right.
All right, let me do a little bit of housekeeping here, and we'll continue with our conversation. You are watching Hickory Ridge Concerts Virtual with Chris Valillo and Calle Sur. You can support our series by making a free will donation through our PayPal link, which is up on the screen right now and is in the chat. Or if you feel uncomfortable doing that, you can drop us a check in the mail at P.O. Box 144, Macomb, Illinois. All that works. We are essentially a self-sustaining series, and your donations keep us going. And since Karin has mentioned this, yes, please also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is under my name, Chris Valillo YouTube channel. Then you'll know about upcoming performances, and we'll stay in touch with you as well. And that really does make a difference to artists. So thanks so much for joining us, of course. Now, back to our conversation. So you are from the hinterlands of Colombia.
Right.
You're riding horses, you're learning by candlelight at night, you're walking to school uphill both ways in the snow.
I'm not walking to school. There was no school.
I know. That's an exaggeration.
My mother had to be the school. But yes, uphill both ways, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, this combination of the urban Panamanian music with the rural Colombian music, this is the very thing that we're talking about, where you bring these different cultural forms together and new things happen.
Right.
And it's been such a part of music for forever. How did you start to get into the musical aspect of Colombia?
I suppose, first let's back up. There are genes that help you pick up melodies. And some people have those genes for music. Some people have the genes for keeping a place organized, or for thinking logically, or for, mine are picking up melodies.
Yeah.
And harmonies. That's, rhythms are okay.
Yeah.
But my strong suit are melodies and harmonies. And that came from my mother's side. My poor father couldn't carry a tune. I mean, the man just couldn't carry a tune. But my mother sure did. And she came from a long line of people with an excellent ear of music, and she sang to me and with me since before I was aware of even other music.
Yeah.
And her thing was classical music.
Interesting.
Very interesting. She was a classically trained pianist, but remember, we were living in the hinterlands. So we did have a piano which was out of tune half the time because of the climate extremes.
Oh, sure.
And the piano tuner came once a year to
Yeah.
tune our piano, right? Because it was too far away. But we had a little transistor radio one of those, battery operated, and you kind of have to dial it to get it just right, and it's
Yep.
usually an AM station.
Of course. I remember those days.
And my mother would get so excited if she was able to pick up a little classical music here and there. And Peter and the Wolf was one of the things I was first introduced on
Okay.
in the middle of the Colombian savannas from this transistor radio. So that set the stage. But then a little later, I became aware of the music that the cowboys on the farm were singing to the cattle. Because you, of course, know that if you sing to cows, they give more milk, right? That was...
Of course.
Yeah, okay, right. So the cowboys know this. And then they have different tunes that they sing and whistle to the cattle when they drive them. So that was my second musical immersion.
Yeah.
And I spent the first 10 years of my life in this environment, completely immersed in the classical side of my mother and her I would harmonize with her since I was 2 or 3 years old, and the cowboy tunes, and then some of the other popular stuff that came in through the radio. So that was my journey, and it stayed with me all my life. And then, of course, I was introduced to Ed,
Yeah.
and I knew about jazz, and I knew about rock and roll and all those things, but Ed really has opened my musical knowledge through experiencing it in jazz and salsa and those kinds of things.
Wow. So let me just jump in with a quick aside. You were mentioning AM radios. And the song I opened up with, Best of All Possible Worlds, was actually written about a radio show called The Best of All Possible Worlds on WHAM radio in Rochester, New York. And when I first began living and being a musician, I would drive home in an old pickup truck that only had an AM radio.
Yeah.
And WHAM at the time was a 50,000 watt clear channel station. And between about 1 a.m. and sunrise, Harry Abrahams would play jazz.
Oh,
And I used to make the comment, it kept me out of the ditches. But it was also the time I would hear this music for the first time. Late at night, driving across the Midwestern prairie with the windows rolled down on a beautiful warm summer night, and hearing this incredible music.
yeah.
So that's...
And let me just add, Ed is a classically trained musician. He can read and write music like he can speak and write a language. I'm not. Even though my mother was a classically trained musician, she sure tried. But I learned by ear so fast that I never really. And so it's also been an interesting process. It's not just these different music styles from Latin America, but the different what he was referencing earlier. Some of us. And thank goodness you appreciate those of us who don't read and write music.
Of course.
But Ed can do both. Ed can do both.
Yeah.
And so Ed translates in our various musical ensembles. He translates. I say to him, "Let's take it again from da 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 da," and he turns around, he says, "Okay, measure 32." Right?
He's the good guy to have around. I'll tell you what. Because I'm like you, self-taught, play by ear, sing harmonies by ear. So I don't always know what I'm doing to describe to someone else.
Right.
But I can always sense where to go. I can take that out of your way, Ed. Thank you.
That was fantastic. It was great watching you eat the pie.
It was really good pie, I want to tell you. And we want to thank my wife, Dory, for yet another amazing pie.
Thank you.
I always
Very good.
tell folks that I learned the meaning of a flaky crust when I married that woman. So, what's on the horizon? What are the new things that are happening? I know the new CD is out.
Cancun, it's easy to remember. Just Google Cancun, Calle Sur. However, let me just say, if you buy it through our website, we get the $10 for the album. If you buy it through any other means, Pandora, you name it, we get less than $1.
And if you listen to it on Spotify, you have to listen 5,000 times to get $10.
Yeah,
to the artist.
it's easy on you, but it's really hard
Yeah.
on musicians. So if you're interested, listen to it on our album, and then you can download it. You don't even have to buy it without listening to it.
Now, you were talking about some new digital products you're thinking about doing, or projects. What are those things?
Well, digital is the name of the game right now. I mean, it's an exception that we're able to sit here, and as soon as
What a
winter
joy.
comes, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
As soon as winter comes, we're not going to be taking indoor performances anymore. So then we will focus our effort on that YouTube channel I mentioned. We have lots of cool things that we're going to be posting in addition to the songs. You know, a song here and there, once a week, twice a week, that we're going to videotape. Ed is going to be teaching conga lessons, 3 minutes with Ed. It's for total beginners. So if you ever wanted to know how to play these things, I'm going to be taking his lessons because I don't know how to play these things.
I have all the secrets.
Yeah, and he's a good teacher too. And if there are any artists out there, let me know. I mean, visual artists, let me know. Get in touch with us because I started a project called Music and Art where I do close-up videotaping of somebody creating an artwork and then compressing it to set it to one of our songs, and the effect is really cool. It could be anything.
Cool.
It could be sculpture, it could be
Yeah.
shadow puppets, it could be stopgap photography, it could be all kinds of things. And I'm thinking about reading my mother's book about our life in the savannas of Colombia in little
Snippets.
chapters and in
Oh,
short.
that'd be really
So that's
And add in musical pieces in between to really give a texture.
And
color.
winter will be our time to compose maybe new pieces.
Sure.
And then we'll see what next summer brings. I hope for everyone, the whole world, that we will get out of this, right? But we know how to do
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah. Now, if we all work together, we all take care of one another, wear
We
your
can do
masks
this.
when you need to, get vaccinated, and we will be playing live very soon.
Yeah.
And boy, I would love to see that happen.
Yes. So hope is here. But thank you, because the other thing is live performances. If we travel, that also is not necessarily great for the environment. But if audiences out there show an interest in live performances like this virtually, where you get to stay home, and we get, you give your contributions, we get paid something, then that's another way to complement the actual road trips. So this is not a bad thing.
Well, and it opens up so many new opportunities.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to do this had we not been doing a live stream show.
Exactly.
And,
yeah.
the idea of doing the projects you're talking about, all new ways to express music and stories and ideas together that you couldn't do without having that digital medium to work in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad.
Now, I got a quick question about the little instrument with 10 strings on it. I don't know if you talked.
There, you pluck it.
Yeah.
You're the one who knows how to pluck instruments.
Well, not this one. So, this isn't tuned in any way that any of the chords I already know are going to make sense to, right? It's
Well, listen to this, see if it sounds familiar to you.
okay. Aha.
That's the tuning that's familiar. You've
Yes,
heard that before, right?
I have indeed.
So there you go. You have at least,
So those 4 strings are going to be the same as the 4 strings of the guitar would be, or a ukulele would be, fingering wise.
and then this is a repeat of that one.
Oh, okay. So if I understand this correctly, now we're going to see how good a teacher Ed is. All right. So let me think about this.
Percussion, okay? Percussion.
Yeah, it's.
That's pretty fast. You're getting some chords pretty quickly there.
Well, it's the mental thing of having to push my mind back a string, and it was the same problem I was having
Yeah.
with the tipple. There was
Well-
only 4 strings there, and I kept thinking there were more.
Well, I had to learn how to play that thing in minutes before the show.
Sure.
So it's the same process.
Now that's a traditional South American instrument, isn't it?
Right.
Charango.
Charango, yeah. And you know what's interesting? The various indigenous cultures of the Americas have had always an extremely rich musical tradition going thousands of years back. In fact, the Mayans had the first musical school long before there was a musical school where people could go study music in Europe. So music goes way back. It's been an important part of Native life forever. And what we know is that the various Native cultures of the Americas used a huge variety of of wind and percussion instruments. So for example, these are wind instruments that I played earlier. That would be one of many. The bombo drum is an example of the percussion. Do you have the cha-cha somewhere? These are those are rattles made out of goat hooves. And
I'll be darned.
so these are just 3 examples of
Wonderful.
thousands of percussion and wind instruments that have been in existence in the Americas. When the Europeans arrived and brought all their destruction, they also brought a new musical concept, the string instrument. The guitar, the Spanish guitar, did not exist when the first Europeans arrived. They brought harps, they brought lutes, they brought violins, mandolins, by the way. And from that concept, the new generations of what ultimately became the collection of Latin American cultures developed their own ideas. So the charango is one of those. It's actually an indigenous instrument
Wow.
that developed after the colonizers introduced the string instrument. The cultures of the Andean mountains decided, well, we're going to make our own. So it's an example, and that's
It
true
used to
for-
be made out of armadillo shells.
Okay.
A long time
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
That was what I was wondering
Okay,
about.
so you've
Because
heard
I have
that or seen
seen,
that, yeah.
I've seen folkloric bands
Yeah.
using an instrument like that with an
Exactly.
armadillo shell on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always figured, oh, that's a tourist instrument.
No, it's an actual thing.
Yeah, the armadillos complained.
I can imagine they
They
would.
put yeah, there's been a stop put to that.
Well, they're a pretty powerful force down in South America, I understand.
I used to have one as a pet.
Did you really?
Yep. Oh, and the cowboy instrument.
The cuatro. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cuatro. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy to remember, but don't call that a 6 because it's reserved to this instrument, the cuatro. And it has a similar tuning.
Okay, sure.
Again. And this is also one of those instruments that was developed in Latin America.
Wow.
But then the Spanish guitar, which was developed after the colonizers arrived, is today the most widespread folk instrument
Yes.
used, but the nylon string.
Now, you know, I don't own a nylon string guitar.
Seriously?
Actually, I've got an 1850s one that I haven't finished restoring.
Huh.
But it's such a unique tone compared to the steel string guitar, which is I'm used to playing,
Right.
that I might have to get one.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely palette of colors, you know, in terms of the sounds, and that you can combine together. And the nylon string kind of slides in between some, you know, the ones I'm more used to playing with that have the sharp, bright attack. You know, it has this rich, mellow sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty incredible. Well, I'll tell you what, I have had a wonderful time this evening, and I hope everybody here has as well. Once again, we would appreciate your support. If you care to donate something, you can do so at the Hickory Ridge PayPal link, or by simply dropping us a check in the mail. Brandon has thrown up the addresses to do that. I hope you will join us again next month. We have not yet booked the series because there was a question as to whether or not we might actually be able to get back into the State Museum. And then with the Delta variant coming up, of course, we can't now. But we will be doing a concert the third Saturday of September, and I've got somebody in mind I'm not going to mention, because if I get them, you'll love them, and if I don't get them, you're going to be mad at me. But a former duo that folks really, really enjoyed. But before we do that, I also have to thank the Two Rivers Arts Council and the Illinois Arts Council, who have supported us through these hard times with a grant that makes this digital production possible. All right.
Thanks to Brandon, right?
And Brandon O'Sullivan of Clover Digital, who is our digital mastermind, who keeps me able to be here talking and playing with these folks and keeps everything sounding great and looking good out there. So, Brandon, a big thank you to you as well. Now, we should wind up with one more song. So, I will let you introduce the song while I switch instruments.
All right. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit here about the name of this song. It is not Guanta Tomato. It is not Guanta Potato. I know. You probably sung it like that forever and swore that it was something about vegetables, but it isn't. The name of the song is Guantanamera. Guantanamera, the root of the word Guantana, comes from Guantanamo in Cuba.
Oh,
So this song is a song that speaks about someone from Guantanamo. Now, if you're a male, if you identify yourself as male and you're from Guantanamo, you're a Guantanamero. If you identify yourself as a female and you're from Guantanamo, you are a Guantanamera. So this song has something to do with the female gender. Now, I have to tell you something. In Spanish, we do have genders for everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything has a gender. It's either a she or a he. I don't know why. We just do. So this song is about something female from Guantanamera. The other word that you probably know or you've heard is Guajira. Guantanamera, Guajira. Guajira could refer to one of two things. Guajira could be a peasant woman, someone who lives in the country, basically. And the other thing that it refers to, or could refer to, is a style of music in Cuba, which is also called a Guajira.
Uh-huh.
So, Guantanamera, the song, not Guanta potato, not Guanta tomato. Got it? Guantanamera. Sing along. Okay, we want to hear you. Okay?
Thanks for having us, Chris, again.
Oh,
and
my
thanks for
pleasure.
all the sponsors and you, the audience.
All right. We will catch you folks next time around. Here we go.
Are you ready? Sing along.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir me quiero echar mis versos del alma.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Cultivo una rosa blanca en junio como en enero. Cultivo una rosa blanca en junio como en enero. Para el amigo sincero que me da su mano franca. Y para el cruel que me arranca el corazón con que vivo. Cartón y ortiga cultivo una rosa blanca.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Let's do it once again.
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Thanks so much, folks, for being with us. I'm Chris Valillo. This is Hickory Ridge Concerts Virtual. We'll see you next time around. Good night,
Gracias.
everybody. Adios.
Adios.
And we are out.